Welcome to the deep dive. We've gone through the research you sent over, cut through the noise, and yeah, we're ready to share the key insights. Today we're jumping into something pretty interesting, some experimental tech that honestly caused a bit of head scratching at first with the sources. We kept seeing this name, Pomelli, and it wasn't immediately clear, are we talking about the theoretical chemistry professor or this new AI tool from Google?
Yeah, that happens, doesn't it? Information overload. But we sorted it out. The academic work is definitely out there, important stuff. But for our deep dive today, yeah, we're focusing squarely on the other Pomelli, the new AI tool, highly experimental. And it's aimed at making marketing way simpler for, businesses that don't have huge teams.
Exactly. So that's our mission for you, the listener. We want to get under the hood of this Pomelli AI, understand how it works, what it means strategically. It's basically an automation tool for small and medium businesses, SMBs we call them. And its whole reason for being is, well, it's trying to fix that age-old branding headache, consistency.
Right. And that focus on consistency really shapes everything about it. Pomelli is an AI experiment straight out of Google Labs. They worked really closely with Google DeepMind on it. It just hit public beta in October 2025, so it's, brand new. We should probably mention the initial limits, though. It's English only for now.
Oh, okay.
And only available in the US, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand at the moment.
Got it.
But the problem it's trying to solve, that's huge. The research found almost 3/4, like 73% of small businesses say they really struggle keeping their message the same everywhere online.
Yeah, I believe that.
And that inconsistency, it erodes trust, right? So Pomelli's pitch is, it's the automated way to make sure everything aligns right from the first draft of any marketing piece.
Okay, right. Let's unpack the core idea then, because this sounds like where things get really interesting strategically. They call it the business DNA. Usually if you wanted brand consistency, you had to do it all manually, right? Upload the logo, type in the hex codes for your colors, list the fonts you're allowed to use.
The brand guidelines document.
Exactly. Pomelli just throws that whole process out. You don't give it a brand book.
Yeah.
Instead, the AI looks at your public website, your existing pictures, and it figures out that DNA all by itself.
That's the idea. It infers it. And that's where the DeepMind collaboration really comes into play. It's not just like picking colors off the page. It's analyzing the text on your site, trying to figure out your tone of voice. Are you, chatty and fun or more formal and serious?
Okay.
It looks at fonts, sure, but also the style of your images. Are they bright, maybe aspirational, or more technical, focused on the product details?
Okay.
And this profile, it builds this DNA. It acts like a constraint, a guardrail maybe.
Yeah.
So every single thing it creates, social media posts, ad ideas, whatever, has to stick to that DNA it learned.
Okay, but that immediately brings up a huge point, and it kind of puts the pressure back on the business owner, right? If the AI is learning everything just from my website, well then Pomelli's only going to be as good as my website already is.
Absolutely. The sources make that pretty clear, even if implicitly. If your website's a bit of a mess, visually or tonally, 5 different fonts, conflicting messages everywhere, Pomelli's just going to reflect that back. It'll automate the inconsistency. You'll get consistently mediocre stuff or consistently confusing stuff. So, yeah. The website has to be clear. It has to be well-structured. It needs to actually represent the brand well.
Wow. So the website isn't just a place people visit anymore. It's becoming the ultimate brand guide, the blueprint that everything else has to follow. That's a pretty big shift in thinking for how small businesses need to prioritize where they put their effort and money.
It really is.
But, okay, let's assume the website is strong, the DNA is clear. What's the actual workflow like? You said it was fast.
Oh, yeah. Remarkably fast. It's basically 3 steps. 1,
Yep.
you give it your main website URL.
Okay.
2, you look at the DNA profile it comes up with, just review it, and you can tweak the inputs a bit if needed, maybe point it to specific product pages if those are key.
Right. Focus its attention.
Exactly. And 3, you tell it what you need, and it generates the assets. Simple as that. But we really have to hammer home that setup guardrail. Be careful with the inputs. Only use stuff you publicly own or control. This isn't for uploading customer lists or anything private. It's strictly for brand definition and creating marketing materials.
Got it. Safety first. Okay, so let's talk about that speed advantage, because that's the big immediate draw for SMBs who are stretched thin, right?
Totally. It's about rapid creation. The testing numbers we saw were, frankly, a bit startling.
Yeah.
Creating 10 different versions of a social media post took about 60 seconds
Right.
total.
1 minute.
And the very first draft started showing up in like 5 to 8 seconds.
That's incredibly fast. It's not just saving time, it's removing that initial friction, that blank page problem.
Precisely. And that speed unlocks some really valuable uses, especially in areas where consistency usually falls apart first under pressure. Think about planning for big seasonal promotions.
Like Black Friday.
Yeah.
Or maybe a local town festival.
Exactly. Small businesses often scramble for those. With Pomelli, you give it a brief maybe 2-4 weeks ahead of time, and boom, it generates on-brand visuals, on-brand copy concepts that match the DNA it learned. So the team isn't wasting time just coming up with basic ideas. They can focus on refining and optimizing.
I really like the sound of the product launch kits. That's always such a fragmented process.
Yeah.
You know, the founder trying to coordinate maybe a freelancer for graphics, writing the announcement post themselves, updating the website.
Right.
Pomelli can apparently generate a whole coherent set, teasers,
Yeah.
the main announcement, even the hero text for the website, all from a single brief.
That's the promise. Everything is consistent tonally and visually. No more drift between what's on Instagram versus what's on the site.
Nice.
It's also great for multi-channel social packs. You set one main goal, like, say, getting signups for a webinar. Pomelli can then automatically create variations tailored for different platforms, adjusting the image size, the copy length for Instagram versus LinkedIn versus Facebook, all at once.
That's clever. And what about user-generated content, UGC? That's huge for community building.
Yeah, it helps there too. It can generate UGC curation prompts, basically templates for asking your community to share stuff like photos using your product. And it builds in some of that important rights-aware language, which is helpful.
Okay, but the human still needs to handle the actual permissions, right?
Oh, absolutely. Mandatory. Pomelli just gives you the starting point, the prompt, the post template, already aligned with your brand voice.
Gotcha.
And let's not forget using it for the business's own website, site refreshes. So if you launch a new campaign on social media, Pomelli can quickly generate matching banners or hero copy for your website. Keeps the whole visitor journey consistent with that business DNA.
Right, so it connects the dots internally as well. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Moving from creating stuff fast to actually publishing and using it. What about things like ads?
Good question. It helps in a couple of key ways there, especially for businesses doing maybe lighter advertising pushes. First is creating lightweight ad creative variants. You need to test different messages, different visuals, right? Fight ad fatigue.
Always.
Pomelli lets you generate a whole bunch of small variations really quickly. Different headlines, slightly different image crops. Stuff you can then take to your ad platform for A/B testing. It helps you fill your ad manager with fresh ideas fast. Second, and this was really stressed in the docs, is preparing for negative scenarios with crisis response templates.
Uh-oh, like what?
Like if there's a service outage or maybe a security issue notice you need to put out, you can use Pomelli ahead of time to generate neutral, empathetic starting points for those messages.
Proactive planning.
Exactly. But, and this is critical, anything generated for crisis comms must have human review. Legal review, too, probably, before it ever sees the light of day. Non-negotiable.
Absolutely. Makes sense. Okay, now, here's the part that really caught my eye. The limitations. Because this is where the beta status really seems to show. We need to be clear about what Pomelli doesn't do.
Yeah, this is important. Despite all this cool generation stuff, Pomelli has no direct publishing integrations. None at all.
Wait, really? So it doesn't connect to Facebook or
Well-
Instagram, not even Google Ads?
Nope. No direct connection to Meta, Google Ads, or any social media schedulers like Hootsuite or Buffer. Zero integration.
Wow. Okay. That feels like a pretty big gap.
It is a significant limitation right now. What you have to do is manually download everything it creates.
Everything.
Everything. And the outputs are limited too. You get static images, JPGs or PNGs, and plain text files like TXT files for the copy.
No video, though.
No video generation currently, just static images and text. So you download those files to your computer.
And then you have to manually upload them into Facebook or into your scheduling tool or wherever they need to go.
Exactly. That manual step is definitely still there.
Huh. Okay, so if I have to download and upload everything myself, and it doesn't have built-in AD testing features, that automation promise feels a little less, well, automated. How does it really help with optimization if the bottleneck just shifts to the publishing part?
That's a fair point. It helps optimization mainly by massively increasing the raw material you have for testing and ensuring that material is consistent. The use case is really manual A/B content variations. Think about it. Pomelli can spit out, say, 10 different headlines for the same visual in seconds.
Right.
So the human user looks at those 10, picks maybe 2 or 3 really distinct ones, and then takes those over to their ad manager to test manually.
I see. So Pomelli does the variety generation, but the human runs the actual experiment.
Exactly. You test the headlines with the same visual, find a winner, then maybe test different visuals with the winning headline. Pomelli just saves you the hours you would have spent brainstorming and designing those initial options yourself.
Okay, that clarifies his position. It puts Pomelli in a really specific, maybe disruptive place compared to existing tools. Like if you look at Canva or Adobe Express, they're amazing for hands-on design, right?
Yeah.
But you still have to manually set up your brand kit colors, fonts, logos.
That initial setup time.
Pomelli's unique angle is skipping the design interface altogether and doing that brand setup automatically just by scanning the website.
Yeah, the sources kept highlighting that. You need zero design skills to get something brand aligned out of it. It drastically lowers the barrier to entry for creating decent-looking, consistent marketing stuff.
Lower barrier, but higher accountability. Sounds like there's some important guardrails there, too.
Oh, absolutely. Google seems very focused on this. The human in the loop isn't just recommended, it's mandatory. A real person must review everything for factual accuracy, any claims being made, pricing details, legal compliance, all of it before anything gets published.
Makes sense. You can't just let the AI run wild with pricing.
Definitely not. And users are fully responsible for copyright and trademarks. Only use assets you own or have the license for. And you have to follow the rules of whatever ad platform you're using.
Re-entered compliance stuff.
Right. And finally, they tie it back to Google search guidance. Don't use this to just churn out tons of low-quality, repetitive content. The goal is still valuable, people-first content, not just spamming the internet.
Good reminder. Okay, let's just quickly recap the access details again before we wrap up.
Sure. You need a public website URL. That's the key input.
Right.
It's available currently in the US, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand.
English only.
English only for now, yeah. And importantly, during this public beta, it's completely free. No credit card needed, no mention of usage limits in the current materials we saw.
Free for now. Always good to hear during a beta.
So yeah, if we pull it all together, Pomelli is really aiming to be a speed tool for small and medium businesses. It automates making consistently branded creative assets. It could potentially slash that first draft time by maybe 30%, maybe even 50%. If the business's website, that foundational DNA source, is already strong, clear, and well-defined, that's the big condition.
Which loops us right back to that core strategic point, the really provocative thought we wanted to leave you, the listener, with. Think about it. If this powerful AI learns your entire brand identity, your look, your feel, your voice, just by scanning your public website, how does that change things? How might tools like Pomelli shift how businesses need to think about, structure, and invest in their existing online presence? Is your website now effectively the single most important brand document you have, the absolute source of truth that everything else flows from?
It certainly feels like it's pushing in that direction.
So we'd love for you to think about that. What does this mean for your website? If an AI was learning about your brand solely from your site today, what would it learn? What might you want to change? Let us know your thoughts, your ideas, your suggestions, maybe in the comments. We'd be really interested to hear them.
Yeah, definitely share your opinions. And thank you for joining us for this deep dive into Pomelli AI. If you found this breakdown useful, please do hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel. Maybe click the notification bell so you don't miss future deep dives.
And please, share this with anyone else you think might find it interesting or useful for their own business or marketing strategy.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.